All right. So we're doing some story problems. So you have that worksheet. We're going to work through a couple of them together, and then we're going to get into some groups and work through the rest together. Try to minimize the amount of homework you have. A couple of requirements for story problems that we have to have, and I'm going to talk through those. Okay. So have the worksheet out. It's the whole listening thing again, right? All right, so you have your homework already out. Let's take a look. So we're going to just start with number one. Okay? Let's start with number one, and we're going to talk through it together. You may think you already know how to do it. Go ahead and read through it independently. I bet many of you can figure out the answer just in your head. Yes, it's an easy one to think through. So it's a really great one to teach you the process, because you already know what the answer is going to be. I'm going to teach you a process for setting up an equation, and then solving that equation. Okay. So what's the answer to this question? What did you earn last year? $7. $7 per hour. Okay. So we're kind of past that now. We know what the answer is. We're going to talk about a process and how to think through some of these questions and some key words to look for when you're writing the equations for this. So here's the deal. You do have to write an equation. It says define your variable, write an equation, and solve the problem. Which means that there's going to be stuff we know, stuff we don't. Right? The stuff we know is probably going to be numbers. The stuff we don't know is probably going to be what? Variables. Exactly. And then there's going to be some words that tell us what operation we're going to be doing, right? Remember that day when we talked about words that help us find addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division? We're going to be looking for those words. And then what's the key word to help us find that where the equation is going to be happening? What's that key word? What? No, that's going to be an addition or subtraction word. I'm looking for the word that tells us we're writing an equation. That key word that says, hey, this is an equation. Is going to be a key word. Now, is will not be present in every question, but if it is, if it is present, it's going to be very helpful for us in writing our equation. So right away we need to read through the problem. And I like to look for the word is. Does anybody see a word? Does anybody see where that word is? Good. Let's circle that and identify that we know what that is going to be. Actually, I'm going to put it in a little box. Or circle, that's fine. That tells me that there's going to be an equal sign somewhere. Now, before I get too far, I want to figure out what do I not know. Okay? So, what I don't know is going to be my variable. Where I get this information from, I look to the actual question. Okay? Look to the question. So there's a bunch of words, there's a couple of sentences. What does the question say? Anna?
What did you earn per hour this year?
Exactly. That's what we don't know. So our variable, what do you want our variable to be?
P.
P. Sure, why not? P is going to be what? It should come almost directly from the question. What did you earn per hour last year? So what we don't know is what we earned per hour last year, right? So it'd be earnings per hour last year. That's what we don't know. That's what our variable is going to be. So let's go back to the word is. An equal sign we know has a left and a right side. So the word is has only one word before it. What is that word? This. Okay? And that's a little tough because this is kind of like a pronoun referring to something else. What is this referring to in our problem?
They're 9 hours?
The $9.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay? It's a pronoun and it refers to the stuff that comes before it. So if you're saying, Ah, man, I've got to take a test today. This is hard. What is the word this referring to in that sentence?
The test.
The test. Or, man, I can't play basketball. It's too hard. Or, I can't play basketball. I'm too short. What am I referring to? What am I too short for?
Basketball.
It's the thing before that just happened, right? The thing before. So look at question 2 real fast. Do you see the word this? What's that probably going to refer to?
Temperature.
Yeah, something that came right before it. So if you look for the word this, it's referring to the thing that came right before. Okay? So this is actually going to be $9. So notice to the left of the word is the word this. So when we convert that to math, to the left of the equal sign is 9. Why? Because this is, right, that's the English. $9 equals is the math. Now we need to look at the right side. Yes, Brenna?
What does the word in blue say?
Pronoun.
Okay.
Now let's look to the right of the equation, okay? Look to the right. Let's go with purple. What key words do we see? Of course, we can see the word $2. That's going to be helpful. What other words?
Per hour last year.
Per hour last year. Per hour last year. Where did those words look familiar? Per hour last year. That's what we defined our variable as. So the words per hour last year, what are we going to write that in math? P, exactly. Because the English words per hour last year in our equation will be P. Do you notice how defining this first kind of helps us figure out how to convert from English to math? We have some more words that we haven't figured out. So we have this already figured out. We have this already figured out. We have 2, but we don't know the operation. What words help us figure out the operation? Anna?
More than.
More than. So that's going to be an addition sign, right? But we remember more than is one of those reverse ones, right? More than is one of those reverse addition signs, which means we take it and flip it. So it's going to be 9 equals what? Well, it's an addition problem, so we've got our plus sign. And we've got our P that comes first because of the reverse, plus 2. So $9 equals what we earned plus $2. And now we can solve it, right? We want to show our work. We would draw our, I remember we already know the answer, right? Minus 2, 7 equals X. So our answer would be $7 per hour. Yes, thank you. P. I do mean P. Per hour. We only have 1 P. Per hour last year. Now, of course, we already figured this one out in our head, most of us, but I was going through the process of converting English to math and trying to help you guys think through that process. Because there will be ones that are a little bit more tricky to do. Okay? So, let's rewind and just go back through what we did. First things first, we look to see if there was the word is, because that will help make our equation a lot easier. There's a left and a right side of an equation. There's a beginning, middle, and end of a sentence. And then if we found the word is, awesome, we went and defined our variable. Where did we find the information for our variable?
In the context.
A little bit more. It's actually a little bit more specific than in the context. It's actually a little bit more specific. We wrote it down. We looked at the question, because that tells you what you don't know. So what we don't know is our variable. And then we started analyzing before and after the word is. The words before the word is came to the left of the equal sign. The words after the word is came to the right of the equal sign. Let's do another one like that. We'll go a little faster through this one. Okay? This one, you might not be able to do in your head, but I bet you can probably think about it. Do we know the answer? Do some of us know the answer?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it? It's 400 degrees. But for those of us who couldn't figure it out in our head, that's fine. We have a method of solving. Your mother asked you to turn the oven down to 325.
I mean, it was higher earlier.
It does. This is 75 degrees less than what it was. what was the original temperature? So is there an is?
Yes,
Yes.
this
There is. This is. We've got an equal sign. Which means the word this is going to be referring to stuff that came before it. What is this referring to? Yep, 325 degrees. And then we have some other things. Let's go ahead and define our variable to make sure that we know what we're looking for. To define a variable, we look to the question, right? What is our variable? What do we not know?
What it was before, what we do know actually.
Let's use the real words from the question. What do we not know? The original temperature. Let's look for those words. The original temperature. So what do we want our variable to be? We're going to make it T. T is the original temperature. So let's go back through our what we have. So we keep on looking at where it is 75 less than. What's less than give us? Minus. Subtraction, so we know we're going to have less than. It's a subtraction problem. But careful, less than is a reverse one, right? What it was. What it was. What it was. What does it was refer to? No, we actually already identified that. See, notice we already identified the 325 as this. It was a different temperature, right? It was an original temperature, so that's going to be our T. So let's write this equation down. So we already have our minus sign. Now the question is, which goes first, 75 or T? T, right? Because we have to start at what it was before we can bring it down. Okay? So we've got T minus 75. And now let's solve our problem. Equal sign. T, what do I need to do to both sides?
Operation.
Add 75. Add 75. Those cancel. And I get T equals 400. So our answer is 400 degrees is the original temperature. Okay? Now, of course, I took a long time to work through these, but you can probably go through those pretty fast. I was going through it slowly so we could all kind of follow along. Last one, I'm not going to solve this one for you, but I'm going to help you set it up. Read through this problem and tell me kind of what our dilemma might be. For number 3. It's not that we're working with fractions. We're good with fractions, right? We can deal with fractions. See the word is? How many times? 3 times. Uh-oh. So we have to figure out which is the one that we want, right? So what we need to figure out is which is has numbers for us and variables. So in other words, what do we need to know and what do we already know? In order to have an equation that we can solve, we have to have something we know and something we don't. Okay? First off, let's define our variable to help us. So look to the question, what's our variable? Look to the question. Let's all read the question together. Ready? And go. What is the height of your chair? So what is our variable? H is going to be the height of the chair. So let's start backwards since we just were there. Let's look at the last is. What is the height of your chair? Do we have anything that we don't know? Yes, we don't know the height of the chair. Do we have something we do know in that phrase?
Yes, the height of our desk.
Yeah, I'm looking at just the last part, just the last is. In the last sentence, what? We don't have any numbers, so this one's out. There's no numbers given. All right, let's look at the next sentence. The next is, what comes before it? The height of your desk is 29.34. Do we have something we don't know in that sentence? We have something we do know. There's a number that's given,
Well, we don't know.
but we don't have H, the height of the chair, in that phrase. So this is not going to cut it for us. There's no variables in that sentence. So that means this has got to be the one that we want to work with, which means that in that sentence has to be both our variable and our number. Do we see our variable in that first sentence?
Yes.
Where is it?
It's the height of the chair.
Height of our chair, that's our variable. Do we see our number in that first sentence?
Yes.
Where is it?
Negative 10.4.
Mm-mm.
No?
What do we know?
You're gonna have to subtract.
We're going to have to subtract. What and what, right? If I'm subtracting, I need to subtract two things. I've got my variable, so I'm going to subtract my variable and, Jeremiah,
The desk.
the desk. We know that. That's going to be our number. Remember, for every equation, you have to have a variable and a number, right?